For the first time in history, China now outnumbers the United States in the latest ranking of the world's best universities. It's a groundbreaking achievement for China, but there's an even bigger story that is happening behind the scenes. Some of America's brightest and most prolific university scientists are choosing to leave the United States and instead pursue their careers in China. Look at this SCMP article that highlights at least 1,400 US-based ethnic Chinese scientists have switched their affiliation from American to Chinese institutions. In today's video, I'm going to break down some incredible data that will show you how a fractured US-China relationship is dramatically changing the academic landscape in both countries. Today's video is proudly sponsored by ZBiotics, a new pre-alcohol probiotic that helps you enjoy a night out with friends and wake up feeling refreshed the next day. Please watch to the end of today's video to learn more about our special offer. The United States boasts the most impressive university system in the world, and for decades the US has been attracting top talent from around the globe. In fact, this is how the United States became such a strong world power. America is a nation full of immigrants and diversity, and this is what makes this country so strong. In 2015, the US was ranked as the most attractive scientific destination in the world, but things started to dramatically change 1 year later when Donald Trump became president and launched a series of initiatives targeting Chinese professors and students. Fast forward to 2022, and we are now seeing the disastrous effects of Donald Trump's policies. In just 7 short years, the trend has completely reversed. Less scientists are now coming to America, and China has replaced the United States as the world's most attractive destination for scientists. Because more talented scientists and professors are relocating to China, the overall quality of China's universities has skyrocketed these past 7 years. According to the 2022 World's Best Global Universities rankings, China has overtaken the US for the first time in history, with 338 universities ranked in the top 2,000, while the United States has only 280 universities which made the list. Although China surpassed the US by 58 spots, the United States still has many incredible universities, including 8 of the top 10 in the world. However, China is quickly catching up to America in terms of quality. Tsinghua University now ranks as the #1 school in Asia, overtaking prolific universities from both Singapore and Japan, and China has become the world leader in important fields of study that will dominate the future of our world. Artificial intelligence is one of these fields that both the US and China regard as strategic national priorities. Just listen to this quote from Secretary of State Antony Blinken. "The world's leading powers are racing to develop and deploy new technologies like artificial intelligence and quantum computing that could shape everything about our lives, from where we get our energy, to how we do our jobs, to how wars are fought." It's clear that AI will play a large role in the future of our world, and China has been investing accordingly. China now has 5 of the top 10 AI schools in the world, while the highest ranking school for the United States is Carnegie Mellon, which comes in at number 12. China is graduating the most amount of STEM graduates in the world and leads the US in other important subjects, including nanoscience, nanotechnology, engineering, and physical chemistry. One of the biggest stories in this battle between attracting scientists is the world-famous structural biologist Yan Ning, who is affectionately referred to as China's goddess scientist. 5 years ago, she broke the hearts of millions of Chinese when she left China for Princeton University. Princeton is an outstanding university, and residency at this premier Ivy League school is a dream come true for any Chinese scientist. However, after just 5 years at Princeton, Yan has resigned and instead will move to Shenzhen to establish a medical academy. Professor Yan recently stated, "After decades of work, I found myself confident enough to move on to the third stage of my career, to build a platform to support more excellent researchers. Shenzhen at this moment offered me that chance. We reached an agreement almost immediately." Notice the opportunity China has presented this world-class professor, the opportunity to build a platform and train future researchers. In 2017, many Chinese were devastated when Yan decided to leave China for America. Many wondered if China would ever be able to retain the nation's top talent. But here we are, 5 years later, and China is closing the gap, improving its own university system in order to compete with America in the long term. To combat the rise of China and stop this alarming trend for America, President Biden signed the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022 into law. The goal with this law is to revitalize domestic manufacturing of semiconductors and to compete with China in science and technology. There is only one problem with this plan, and as this Barron's article states, the implementation is likely to hit a snag as a result of the significant loss of talent. Let's go back to the root cause of the problem and why less Chinese students and professors want to come to America, and that is the actions of former President President Donald Trump. When Trump launched a trade war with China, the US government began a controversial program called the China Initiative. Launched in November 2018, the program aimed at fighting suspected Chinese theft of tech secrets and intellectual property, but has been a disaster for any Chinese professor working in America. The program was ineffective, racially biased, and in some cases were based on false evidence provided by the FBI. After years of criticism, Joe Biden formally ended the program in February 2022, but the damage from this racist program has certainly hindered America's ability to attract top Chinese talent, at least for the short term. According to a University of Arizona poll last year, 40% of ethnic Chinese scientists considered leaving the US due to fear of American government surveillance. Another survey from the Asian American Scholar Forum is even more alarming. The organization polled 1,300 ethnic Chinese scientists who were employed by US universities and found 61% of the scientists, especially young researchers, felt pressure to leave the United States, and 65% expressed concerns about their collaborations with China. What's important to note here is that in this group of 1,300 scientists, over half of them have become naturalized US citizens, with an additional 36% US permanent residents. These are world-class scientists who left China and want to live and work in America. But now, many of them are questioning their decisions and have significant worries about their long-term future in the United States. The prospects for Chinese scientists in America look dim at best and hostile at worst. China sees this as a major opportunity to bolster the nation's own university system and is responding by offering senior positions with higher compensation. Weighing these two options, many are opting to return back to China. This destructive US government program has ruined the lives and careers of many Chinese scientists in America. Legal fees can easily cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it takes these professors years to fight for their freedom. Just last week, a major story broke about Professor Sherry Chen, who won a $1.8 million settlement against the US government. In 2014, Chen was working for the National Weather Service and was arrested one day at work while standing next to her colleagues. The charges the US government brought against Chen didn't hold up, and 3 years later, the US government just dropped the charges overnight. Professor Chen has been fighting for her freedom, and it took 8 long years to finally reach a settlement. She recently stated, "I hope that my settlement inspires other Chinese Americans who were wrongly investigated and prosecuted to continue to fight for justice." As we conclude today's video, I want to highlight why this topic is so important and relevant to both the US and China. More than 1 million international students come to the United States every year, and they contribute almost $45 billion to the US economy through spending on retail, dining, and transportation. The reason the United States has become the top university system in the world is because of international students. Once again, our country is built on immigration, and to stay competitive, America needs to keep attracting the best talent in the world. Unfortunately, international student enrollment in America peaked in 2015 and has been declining every year since. Students of Asian descent have been less likely to come to the United States, and this has only been exaggerated with the COVID pandemic. Hate crimes against Asians have increased a staggering 339% in 2021, and many US-trained scientists and Chinese students now feel unwelcomed in the United States. On the flip side, China knows economic development will remain a top priority, and the country must prioritize developing and retaining the brightest scientific minds to stay and contribute to the Chinese economy. When China's goddess professor Yan Ning announced her decision to leave Princeton and return to China, the news immediately became a trending topic on Weibo, with hashtag Yanning attracting over 440 million views within 24 hours. Many Chinese nationals view her return as an act of patriotism among the US-China tech war. But now I have a question for you. Will the US be able to reverse this trend and start attracting more Chinese talent? Or will China continue to attract more scientists to come home and contribute to the Chinese economy? Let me know in the comment section below,